How's it going, everybody? Cub here, and today I'm going to be showing you a tutorial on how to build my smart fireworks display. Many of you may have seen this in my Let's Play, but I have since greatly improved the design. And since this video might be a little bit longer, I'm going to go ahead and split the video into 3 sections. The first section will be a discussion on what features this fireworks display has, and the design advantages it has over other traditional fireworks displays. The second part of the video will be a demonstration of the fireworks display itself, and the last section will be the tutorial. So I'll go ahead and put some annotations on the right hand side of the screen now, and you can choose which one you would like to view. So let's start off by taking a look at some of the features of this fireworks display. First of all, there's only one input, represented by this lever here. Once you flick the lever down, the fireworks display will begin, and from that point on there's no other input required from the user. The fireworks display itself is a dual segment display. In this example I've used 3 dispensers for the first segment, which is a randomized slow fire, and in the second segment I've also used 3 dispensers, and that represents the grand finale, which is rapid fire. Now, although I've used only 3 dispensers in both displays, they're each infinitely expandable, so you can have as many dispensers as you want on either level. For instance, in my survival world, I have 15 in the first segment and 10 for the grand finale. Now, some other great features of this are that there is easy refill of the dispensers. You just have to walk up to them, put your fireworks in, and then you can ignite the display once you've filled up the dispensers. There is no visible redstone on the surface, and there are also no running clocks. The grand finale, which I mentioned earlier, is also auto-triggered once the first segment of the display has dispensers which have no fireworks in them. And finally, you can have variable shot timing within this display, meaning you can vary the amount of time between shots in either the first or second segment of the show. So, now that we've talked about some features, let's go ahead and go into the demo. We will go ahead and set time to night. Alright, looking good. And all we got to do is flick this down, and the display will start. Now, as I said, this is a randomized display. You can have these fireworks shoot out more frequently or less frequently. Got some nice ones there. As you can see, sometimes there is a little bit of delay between the fireworks, but again, that's variable. You can make those more or less frequent as you choose, and I will show you how to do that in the tutorial. There's a couple more coming up here. Alright. Few more here from each dispenser, and there's the grand finale being triggered there. As you can see, it's a rapid fire grand finale. And there you have it. There's the entire system run through, and we just simply flick this lever up to stop the last remaining clock. And that's the whole fireworks display right there. So let's go ahead and take a look at how to build it. Okay, so first thing you want to do is you want to place down your block with a lever on it that will control your entire display. Next up, you are going to want to build some type of staircase downward, and you want to go 4 blocks deep like that. And then once you're down in the staircase, go ahead and just clear out a small room here. It doesn't have to be huge, but you want it to be fairly big. Maybe something like 10 by 10 or so. And 3 tall. Once you've dug out a reasonably sized room, you'll go ahead and head back up to your initial block and place redstone dust underneath of it. Then redstone dust all the way down the stair step you made. Block there, redstone on that, then 2 blocks just like that, piston like so with the redstone block on it. Then down one and over one from the redstone block. On each side, place one block with dust on top. And then torches on each side of the blocks like that. Then go ahead and place some redstone dust underneath the redstone block and one block down and in front of it. You'll then take this signal, draw it out a little ways. This will go to your clock over here. And you'll take a signal from this torch, and this will come over to your piston, which will stop the clock at the very end. Now the clock you want to make is like so. So you want to have a repeater there, redstone dust, repeater there, redstone dust. That's coming out a bit far. Repeater there, redstone dust, repeater there, redstone dust. So then you just hook this line coming out of the far torch to the clock there. You get another sticky piston out, put it there with a block there, and you can get rid of that redstone. So there's our clock. Let's go ahead and test out if it works. If it works, this block should be left sitting here once this pulse gets entered into the clock, and the clock should just keep ticking. One other note, you should go ahead and click all these onto 2 delay. So we'll come up here. Looks like it has become night. Doesn't matter though. Alright, we flick that and you'll see our clock is running. So make sure this clock is running before you do anything else. And you should also check that when you flick the lever up, this clock should stop and this block should retract. Now that we're done building our clock, we can head back up to the surface and determine exactly where we want the first segment of our fireworks to launch from. So I'll go with the segment there. We'll dig down 4 blocks and we'll place a dispenser right there. Then we'll go ahead and put another one, let's say here. Dig down 4 blocks, a dispenser 1 down there. And we'll say let's put one here, let's say. 4 and 1 down there. And as I said, I'm just going to do 3 for this demonstration, but you can do as many as you want in practice. So now all we have to do is we have to dig tunnels to these dispensers. And the easiest way to find your way back from the dispensers to your clock is to just dig down 4 blocks at the dispenser and then dig in the direction of your clock, and eventually you should run into your clock. There we go. Alright, so once we've figured out where our dispensers are, we can go ahead and start to build our randomizer here. So directly underneath the dispenser, we'll place our dropper, and then a hopper leading back into that dropper. Then a redstone comparator coming out of the hopper. 2 blocks like that with redstone dust on them. Block like that, and then dust leading into the dispenser here. So let me show you exactly how this is going to work here. I'll just get a lever out. Okay, so if we have a item in our dropper which can stack like redstone can up to 64, and we put it into the hopper by applying a redstone signal, you'll see that the redstone, when it's in the hopper, only outputs a signal strength of 1 from the comparator. And then if we depower it, the hopper automatically puts the redstone back into the dropper. So that's what happens with conventional items. Now if we have an item like a sword or a tool that will output 3 from a comparator when it's in a dropper, watch what happens. And you heard the dispenser fire. That's because the sword and or tool we put in here outputs a signal strength of 3 from the comparator and causes the dispenser to fire. So we can use this to our advantage to randomize when the fireworks shoot out of the dispenser. So if we go ahead and put, say, a wooden sword, grass block, dirt block, and a bunch of different wood blocks into our dropper. Doesn't really matter what we put in there. There we go. So now 1 out of every 9 redstone pulses that this dropper receives will result in a firework shooting out of the dispenser. And if we were to put, say, another wooden sword in there, now every 2 out of 9 ticks will result in a firework being shot. So that's how you can vary the amount of fireworks coming out of your first segment display, just by simply changing the number of swords or tools you have in your droppers. So now we'll just go ahead and repeat that for these other randomizers. And I'll just use the same color scheme here. Just like that. Dust on top. Redstone there. And then I typically just like to use one sword in there, because that gets to be going plenty fast if you have a large display. Alright, there's that one done. And then do the same thing over here. Okay, so now we have all of our randomizers up and running and the droppers filled in appropriately. We're going to go ahead and take the signal from our clock and run it to these droppers just like so. And it's possible we may need a repeater or two in here depending on how big our segments are between the randomizers, but that seems like it will do for us. And just take a note here, if you have more than 3 dispensers, you can then just simply take the line from the clock here and hook it up to the droppers underneath your other dispensers. So now that we have our droppers hooked up, now becomes a little bit more complex. So what we're going to do now is we will make the reset line to ensure that the grand finale does not go off before these dispensers are empty. So what we'll do is we'll come over here, put a block diagonal from both the dropper and the dispenser, and we'll go ahead and put a comparator on that facing outward. Now remember, the comparator will output a redstone signal only if there is items still in the hopper. So we'll use that to our advantage. We'll go ahead and dig down a block here, place a sticky piston facing down, redstone block on that. We'll come around to the side here, and I'll go ahead and lay down some green wool so we know that that is the green line. And we'll put 2 redstone dust on that for now. We'll come over here, and we will do the same thing. Place a comparator down, facing out, dig down one, redstone block and piston there, dig out the block underneath of that, and then dig down there with some dust in there, and that's also going to be a green line with dust on it. And then finally, once again, same thing on this side. Okay, so then you add the redstone block and dust to each randomizer, and then what we'll need to do is we'll need to get these to join up somewhere. So we can do that simply by digging a channel here behind everything. Alright, there's our signal. Bring it down here, and that hooks up over here to this signal. And then this signal will hook up right there. Okay, so now that we have all of these lines meeting up, I'm going to go ahead and dig in here, and we'll dig a line back this way, and this will be where our grand finale is, back that way. And the reason I put a repeater there is because you want to make sure that this signal does not get lost from any one of these redstone blocks. Because if it does, then you have the possibility of a dispenser not being quite empty, but the grand finale will trigger. So always make sure that your redstone signal does not go out from any one of your dispensers. Alright, so now what we'll do is we'll run this redstone line back a little bit, and we'll make another around 10 by 10 room right here. Alright, so here's my small room that I made here. And our line coming from these redstone blocks to make sure the grand finale doesn't go off prematurely is right there. You'll see I made this room a little bit higher than normal. That's just because I want my dispensers to be at the same level as the randomizer dispensers from the first segment of the show. You can make them the same height or a different height, doesn't really matter. I just chose the same height. And then we're going to go ahead and put our grand finale in. So I'm going to put mine on the back wall here. And we'll do four dispensers for the grand finale. And I'll just go ahead and line them up in a row because that's the simplest method. But you can put them some over here and some over in that wall, or however you want to do it. Alright, and then we'll put some repeaters going into those and connect all those up with redstone. Once we have our grand finale dispensers set down and wired up, we can come over to this line over here and bring this up and around the back side like that. Now on this block here, we're going to go ahead and place a chest. That's, let's see, that's 1, 2 over and 1, 2 toward you from where you ended this redstone line. And we'll go ahead and place a chest there. Then we'll go ahead and dig down here underneath the chest and place a hopper going into the block to the right of the chest if you're looking at the chest from behind. We'll then place a dropper facing upward and a hopper facing back into the chest. Then we'll take a comparator and we'll place that in front of the chest like so, with a repeater, and then put redstone dust in front of that, to the left of that, and then back around to the comparator. So what this does is if there's an item in the chest, and let me just demonstrate that if I block this hopper off temporarily. There we go. Okay, so if there's an item in this chest, then this clock will activate, and this will be the thing that shoots our fireworks off for the grand finale. We'll take that out of there and dig down a block in front of these 2 blocks. Dig down another block and 1 block there. Put redstone down like that. Repeater there. And then from this hopper here, this dispenser here, we'll take a redstone signal from it. And then place a dust down, a repeater, and then the dust along the side like that. Okay everybody, so a couple more things we have to do before we are done. We have to first place a single drop in the dropper here. Just one will do. Then we'll also go ahead and take from this line and we'll split up the signal here and have it come up and join to the clock there. We'll place a repeater there, and we also need a repeater over here. And then that is it. We are done. Okay, so this system is ready to go. As I said, you can fill in all these holes, fill some fireworks in here, and shoot them off. But for those of you who want to have a brief explanation of how this part works here, I will do that right now. So initially, we have a situation where we have fireworks in these dispensers down here, which means these pistons are extended, which means that this redstone line is turned on, and I'll just simulate that by putting a redstone torch there. So this is the initial state. Once those dispensers are filled, the item that was in the dropper is pushed up because it's activated, the dropper's activated, into the hopper, which drops it into this chest. Now since this repeater is locking this hopper, the item remains in the chest, and this serves to effectively prime the fireworks system. Then when we put some items into the dispenser, like that, this line lights up and also locks the hopper. But then, once the first stage of the show goes off, this torch will eventually go out after all of these dispensers are empty. And once this torch goes out, once those dispensers are empty, the hopper will remain locked because there will still be fireworks in this dispenser right here. And since that dispenser is locked, but there is no power being provided to lock this clock, this item will cause this clock to begin to run and the grand finale will trigger. So I'll get rid of this torch and show you that in just 1 second. But also note, whenever this dispenser runs out of items, that this line will depower, which means that the hopper can then pull the item out of the chest and back into the dropper, and the entire system totally resets. So that's how we stop this clock and everything. So here we go. Alright, this dropper is emptying, and it's empty, and the item goes back into the dropper. The whole system resets. Once we power it back up, put items in there. Yep, there it is in the chest again, and it's ready to go one more time. So I'll just show you that in action one more time. Alright, there we go. Perfect. So that is all for this Minecraft tutorial. I'll leave you with an overview of what the entire build looks like from above. As always, there will be a download link in the description so you can check this out in-game for yourself, and feel free to ask any questions in the comments. So thank you all for watching. This has been CubFan. Goodbye.